Hey, this is Azrael Lawless, and once again, you've dropped down the elevator, found yourself in Vella, and another Lawless interview. And today, we're going to speak with Miss Calley Jones over here. And how you doing, Calley?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. It is a beautiful Saturday here in the Pacific Northwest, and by beautiful, I mean it is mostly cloudy and gray, and it has been raining lightly most of the day, but still a beautiful day. Lots of green out there. Where are you in the United States?
So I'm in Philadelphia, and actually today the weather sounds very similar to that, ironically.
Hey, nice. Hey, Philly. I want to see Philly someday. I hope to. I hope to. Is that your born and raised town or?
Oh no, I've bounced around a lot. I actually just moved to Philly last August, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah?
So it's pretty new to me, actually. I was last in Minnesota, and then I was born and raised in Texas. So all over the
Wow.
place.
Wow. Well, oh my goodness. What has taken you all over the place like that?
Well, I spent most of my life in Texas. I went to college in Texas as well, about 5 hours from where I grew up, because Texas is huge, and that's not a far distance in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, that's certainly
Um,
not the longest you could have gone.
oh no, definitely not. And then I decided I wanted to do something other than Texas, and so I went to grad school in Minnesota.
Ah,
Um, And then I was looking for jobs, and a job brought me here. So
and you, for a job, you write as well, don't you?
yes, I work for a cancer research organization called the American Association for Cancer Research,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, I write blog posts and press releases and things of that nature for them. I work on their communications department, but all
Super
views
cool.
expressed here and on my social media are my own.
Are in no way, are you going to hold the sign up? Are in no way the views of this organization. No.
Correct.
No, you just being yourself today. This is you. This is you as your Vella author self.
Correct.
And so here we go. We're going to go ahead and get on with the program. And I'm going to ask you the first question. First question is, when did you get started writing, Calley Jones?
Yeah, so I have a very distinct memory actually of being 6 or 7, and I put it together in my head. Like I remember the moment that I put it together in my head that these like little children's books that I loved reading so much, that someone made those, that like the names on the front of them with the author and the illustrator, like those meant something, and that like people made these books that I love to read, and that I wanted to do that too. And so I was really young, and I remember getting like I picked up a legal pad of paper, and I was just like, I'm gonna write a story. And so I started writing a story, and obviously my writing life has gone through so many iterations since that moment.
Of
Um,
course.
but that's kind of like the origin story of where all of this started.
Well, so is your education all in like writing? Is it, I mean, in English or whatever?
No, actually, so I knew that I loved writing, but I I was I was very practical. My parents were very practical, and so I was convinced by the powers that be that I didn't really want to be a starving artist. So I also liked science, and so I chose science and biology and cancer research as my kind of field of study. And
Oh,
so I went to college. I majored in biology because I wanted to go to graduate school and become a researcher. But then I ended up minoring in creative writing because I had extra room in my schedule, and I was like, well, I also love this other thing. So I just kind of like writing has always been kind of kept in the background. And then once I was, a couple of years into my PhD program, and I realized I didn't want to stay in research, I decided to throw the two of them together and write about science for my day job.
Wow. I'm wowed. I'm totally wowed. That story though, I mean, the whole, don't want to be a starving artist kind of thing, that has probably been the cant of many a parent over the years.
Yeah.
I think
But
it needs to stop.
But here I am, I knew that it was something that I loved, so I still, kept going at it. And I'm glad that I did, because not only did it kind of lead me to the day job that I have right now that I really like, but also led me to still being a writer and finally getting something published on Vella. So
Yes, and but you're the exception. You're going to be the exception to that rule. I mean, you found a way to blend them, which is awesome. So 6 or 7, you knew you wanted to do that. When did you write and publish your first thing?
Well, I honestly, I didn't publish anything until Vella. So
Oh,
there's a nice big 20 something year gap in there. But
yeah.
but I did keep writing, and I kept, I finally started finishing the things that I was writing in college. I had like a novel series that I was working on, and I started finishing drafts of things, and learning how to figuring out how to do my own editing. And so it's something that I've been working on for a long time, but I never I always I fell victim to perfectionism, and I was afraid to send it off to, traditional publishing type media before I had it as perfect as I could get it. And so then, I took a step back from that and started writing for fun. And then my writing for fun kind of transformed into what I have on Vella right now. So
Oh, very cool. So, and that's also a story of a lot of folks out there. So when did you learn about Vella, and how did you learn about Vella?
yeah, I was probably very shortly after it was announced, actually. I had already been posting Caster's Court, one of my stories. I'd already been posting it on Wattpad and Tapas
Oh,
before this, and it really wasn't getting any traction. And one of my close writing friends who publishes on KDP, she got the email about Vella and she forwarded it to me. She was like, Calley, this is right up your alley. Like, this is something that you should really look into,
yeah.
And so I looked into it, and I knew I would have to take my story down from the free sites in order to do this. But I wasn't really getting any traction, so I didn't have anything to lose.
Right.
And so I've been publishing on Vella since day one. And
Ooh, okay. So you were there when they lit it up in July.
I was.
Very good. Very good. So, and your first one up was Caster's Court?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And let's talk about Caster's Court. What is it?
So it is I tell a lot of people that I set out to buck all of the superhero tropes, and I ended up accidentally just playing into all of the superhero tropes. When I started writing Caster's Court, and again, this is one I was kind of writing for fun and didn't really expect to ever market anywhere.
Right,
But
right.
I was kind of getting fed up with all of the superhero stuff that was going on. That was back when the MCU was super big and everybody was trying to compete with it, and there was just superhero stuff everywhere. And I'm like, I mean, I love superheroes, but this is excessive. What is the great thing about superheroes? So I started writing. I was like, I'm gonna write a story that's totally different from all of this, and I'm gonna buck all of the superhero. It did not happen. It ended up, so it basically ended up with a cast of characters that will claim that they're not superheroes in a world where superheroism isn't necessarily traditional, but yeah, no, they're totally just a superhero team doing superhero things.
I see. Okay. So, and how many episodes do you have?
There are currently 51 episodes of that story as of today. And yeah, it has an interesting point of view structure where the point of view bounces around, but in a pattern. And so the farther we go in the story, the more voices we get to hear from. So I think there's and we've got heroes in there, villains in there, kind of independent agents that we're really not sure what side of the coin they fall on in there. So that's been something really fun to play with, and it puts some fun restrictions on my story structure when I'm planning about, what chapter gets to be told in what voice. But yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So, so 51 episodes. Do you have a sense of how many words you have total?
Oh gosh. Over 100K at this point. Probably getting close to 120.
Wow. Any plans to take this into a novel format and stick it up on Kindle?
I would like to after, strangely enough, despite the number of words that are out there, I was only about 2/3 of the way through the first season. And but once that first season is done, I would like to, start moving it onto a more, novel type format. And I think that will be helped along by the fact that a lot of Kindle Bella authors are doing that, because I mean, this story was started as a serial. It was like the whole concept of the idea was a serial story that didn't start as a novel. It was supposed to be this way. But as more Vella authors publish their serialized stories in seasons, I think it'll become a more popular format. I think that'll really help.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. So then you rocked along, you stuck up Castor's Court. It got lit up in July with everybody else's. You probably started out with quite a few episodes. And now you're up to 51. And when did you put up that second serial? And tell me about that.
So yeah, I just released a second serial on May 13th. It's a horror serial, so I wanted to put it out on Friday the 13th.
Nice.
And it is it's going to be a horror anthology where all of the stories are loosely connected, and that they all take place in this weird little small town. And it's called Ridgeville. And the first story, like I said, went up on May 13th. And the first story is called Glass Eyes. It's about voodoo dolls. That's the owl eyes that Zach Lester was talking about, right?
Yeah. You want to creep somebody out, do something with stupid ass doll's eyes. I mean, come on. God almighty.
That's the goal.
My son's mother-in-law, she's an ex-mother-in-law now, but she, oh God, she was one of these typical, okay, I don't know, sort of what I think of as stereotypical old lady who loves cats and dolls and stuff. And this woman, and she was married, dude, but her husband traveled for a living. So she kept the house like she wanted it. And so when he would come home, he would have to sleep in this room with, no joke, like more than 100 dolls sitting around staring.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a little creepy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No
I
wonder
don't
you
know if I can
traveled so
handle that.
much. One of those marriages where you found out that your husband really didn't retire 5 years ago because he's been acting like he's going to work ever since, and just basically been traveling all over the world.
I can't stay with the dolls.
Yeah, no, just can't handle the dolls. No, nope, nope. I just noped out of that. So, okay, so creepy glass eyes. Love that. Love that. That sounds like a great kickoff story.
Yeah, I've gotten some good feedback on it so far. People seem to like it, and I'm excited. I actually wrote that story as part of a contest. That was how I found out that writing horror was fun. I've never, most of my life, I've not cared about horror at all.
Right.
Because I'm like I like YA, I like clean reads, I like
Yeah.
urban fantasy, and it's
I
like
know
horror.
it.
No, horror is creepy. But I entered this contest back in 2017, I want to say. I entered this contest, and it was one of those short story contests where they assign you a genre and a character and a topic, or an element, like an object or something, to include a subject. That's what they called it.
Oh dear
And
God.
they assign you these three things, and you write a story about it, and the top couple of them in your bracket go on to the next round. And so the first round of that story, I got assigned horror, and I was like, oh geez, I can't imagine anything else that would have been worse for me to be assigned. And it wasn't this story, it was a different one that will eventually go up as part of the Ridgeville anthology. But I wrote that one. I was like, hey, this is actually kind of fun. Like, okay, I did it. I moved on to the next round, and they shuffled up all of the people, placed them in new groups and new brackets. And I was assigned horror again for the second round. And I was like, okay, well, at least I know what I'm doing. And that's where I wrote this glass eyes story, and I really enjoyed writing that one.
Can you tell us a
So
little bit about it without giving too much away?
yeah,
Sure you
so there
Once
it's
upon a
told
time.
no, horror. It's a dark and stormy night.
Oh, that's right. It was a dark and stormy night.
So there's the main character is this bitter man who grew up in this doll shop that his mom owned, and his family has had this doll shop for years upon years upon years. But when he was growing up, he and his best friend and this girl that he had a crush on all grew up in this neighborhood together. And the best friend stole his girl long time ago. He's never forgiven his best friend for that, and maybe those dolls aren't necessarily just dolls. So he gets his revenge in some interesting ways.
Creepers, man. Creepers.
That's the goal.
That sounds really creepy. And sorry, I asked you to tell me about it now.
As I told somebody who read it the other day and said, man, that creeped me out. I was like, I'm sorry for eliciting that reaction, but I'm really happy that I elicited that reaction.
Yeah. Let me know if you can't sleep. That's be good. And really, that'd be the ultimate compliment.
I don't want to be responsible for anybody's insomnia.
Yeah,
there's
a vibrant horror writing community out here, though.
I've noticed, and that's kind of what made me want to start putting this out there, because this is what, Caster's Court is on a schedule. It releases every week. It's, I know what I'm writing when, but I have these horror stories that just need a little editing, and I'm like, well, I might as well start putting them out whenever I have time, because there is so much good horror on Vella. I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and you need to get to know Zach Lester. He's got an anthology going out there, Engage, and then there's Tirza. I call her my spring queen. Tirza is a prolific horror writer. I don't think she'll ever write anything else. She's good at it. She knows she's good at it. And I think she's been doing it since she's a freaking kid, I can just see little Tizzy running around with her pen. Love you, Tirza. But
yeah, I just started reading a couple of hers, and I'm really enjoying them. So
yeah, she is good. She is good. And okay, so you have your two out there, and again, they are called, one more time, go ahead.
Caster's Court and Ridgeville.
That's right. Caster's Court and Ridgeville. They're both out on Vella now. We'll go give them some love, and there'll be some links down in the video description for us to be able to do that. And in addition to taking people out to your work, my dear, we do shout outs on this show because most of the Vella writers have gone in and been readers and have consumed mass Vellas. So I always say, if you feel like shouting out any, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started on Vella, I kind of wanted to read some things that were along the lines of the things that I was writing, or along the lines of the things that I want to write in the future. Yeah. So one of the first Vellas that I read and really liked, and still very much keep up with, is Who Wants to Be a Sidekick by N.Y. Seeley. I love the voice that the main character has. N.Y. Seeley just nails it. She's got a really fun perspective on the world, and there's some great hijinks in there. I really enjoy that story a lot. And you gotta give fellow superhero writers some love, because there's it's starting to get more, but we've both been in it since close to the beginning, and there weren't a lot of superhero stories out there early on. So
no,
that's there are more now. It's really nice, but yeah, so that's one.
okay.
The second one I know that you're also a big fan of is Galaxy Waffles by Nikolai Wisekal. I started reading that one because one of my works in progress is like a sci-fi kind of story set in a quirky, not quite space, but like interdimensional setting. I was like, and I was like, this is gonna be good. I wanna read this. And it's just the characters.
I love
it. The characters are fantastic, and quirky situations. There's a theme here with things that I like, clearly. But then, when I started writing horror, I also wanted to start reading some of the horror stuff that was coming out. And this isn't necessarily, not all of hers are horror, but they are very dark. The Red Herring Anthology by L.J. Vitanza.
Oh.
Yeah, it's also a collection of short stories. And they are all a little dark and twisty. I just caught up on that one, actually, and I really enjoy it. They're 2-episode stories, and the reason it's called the Red Herring Anthology is they all have a nice twist at the end. So I always play the game with myself, like, how early can I guess the twist? And some of them I've been like, all right, okay, I saw that coming, and some of them I have been like really shocked at the end. And
that's wonderful.
I love it. That one really, that one strings me along. And then the last one that I wanted to mention is a fairly new one. It's also horror, but it's one of those choose your path stories that are coming out. So the one that I know that there are now a couple more, but the one that I've been keeping up with most is I think it's called Choose Your Own Path by Alexander Nader.
Yeah.
And it's like a horror choose your own path story, but it's also really funny. Like he nails the dark comedy really well. I I really like that one. I look forward to voting in that one every week. So
Hear that, Alex? It's fun. It is fun. It is fun to get to be part of the story as it unfolds. And I know you say there's a couple more out there. I haven't seen them. I know he was like either the first or one of the very first.
Right after the polling option opened up,
He
he was
jumped on
it.
that like, I don't know, white on rice. He jumped on that. And
he does a great job. I love that.
Yeah,
story.
He is doing a great job. I've told other people, go read it. He'll show you how to do it. If you want to do this, go follow his story, and because it was like he was born to do it or something. So yeah, he really is doing a good job. So yeah, those are some good shout outs. I agree with all the ones I do know. Let's see, which ones didn't I know? I'm not familiar with the Red Herring Anthology, but I do know L.J. Vitanza's work, so that's got to be pretty good. And you say that each story is completed in two episodes?
Correct. Yeah.
I got to check that out. Now, on your anthology, are you trying to complete each story in one, or are you cutting up also?
Mine are also split up. I tend to be a rather lengthy wordsmith, and so I even my Caster's Court chapters are also cut in half into 2 episodes. But in my anthology, the first story is currently 3 episodes, and I think subsequent ones will also run about 2 to 3 episodes a piece.
Now, smaller episodes do better. They definitely do. That's something we've all learned out here, I think.
Correct.
Yeah. It's even I consider her my premier story. I think hers are a little too long, but she will go to book, and book 2 will begin with 14 to 1500 word chapters and stay that way.
The next one that I have in progress, I'm really trying to trim down those chapter lengths.
Yeah, you kind of have to, and I'll I'll tell you what convinced me. I'm the classic clueless person who thinks there's nobody else in the world but me, and my opinion is what everybody else thinks. So when it really came home to me that people were going to read my shit past 1500 words was when I'm scrolling, I'm reading other people's stuff.
Yep.
And then I'm like, how long is this thing?
You're the same thing, and I feel so bad.
And then you're like, oh, maybe.
That is one of my staunchly hypocritical things, is that I will go, well, if you wanted me to read it, you should have made it shorter. And then I will write like a 2,000 word episode and wonder why people don't read it. So
then you'll write yours and you'll be like, but if they're interested, they'll continue. Has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the fact that we've all got about like a nanosecond of an attention span these days. There's nothing there. We're geared to move to the next thing. Look at the next window. What's going on over here? Oh, look, that's shiny. And
especially when you want to support a bunch of different writers on Vella, like you want to, like, I want to read this so I can read something else. So I can read something else. I'm like, I want the kind of readers who are going to stick with my story. And so I try to be the kind of reader that's going to stick with your story and like interact with you. Like I try to be the kind of reader that I want to see from my own work. But one of the places that I am not that person is chapter length.
I know. I'm the same way.
I try really hard.
So we have become believers on the same wavelength here.
Yes.
Because we freaking know we won't even read them.
Bad when you're halfway through your own chapter going, I'm bored.
Yeah, I mean, how long is this fucking thing? Well, so though, here's going to be a good one for you. You've given me your shout outs. Those are all good. What would you do, young lady, if you had the power, the keys to the kingdom, as it were, and the ability to do absolutely anything to Kindle Bella that you wanted to?
Other than magically making people love longer episodes?
No, yes, other than that. Other than like bending everyone's brain.
Ah, come on.
I know.
I know this has been kind of a somewhat controversial topic, but you know, we were talking about the polls and the reader feedback that stimulates, but I would like a lot more integration with reader communication in the actual app itself. And you know, and I know Kindle Bella authors are split on that, but I fall on the side where I would like to interact more with my readers on the story, like a comment section, or also having, or I don't know, even a place to advertise and, you know, interact with potential readers in the Kindle world also. Because all of that has to be done on social media, and in social media, everyone is spread out on so many different platforms. And I'm slowly adding platforms that I'm, you know, able to work into that list, but it would be so much easier if they were all in one place.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the one real thing that I would really like to see.
Is greater reader communication.
Yeah, but a better, yeah, like a better interface, an Amazon centered interface where readers and writers can communicate. Because everyone loves that little endorphin shot you get when a reader says something about your story, something good about your story.
That's something good about your story. Yes.
And it would be nice if that were set up in a way where that you know, somebody who wanted to say something nice about your story didn't have to go find you on social media to do it, or right, leave a full review.
Right. Well, that's worthy for sure. And I was just sitting here contemplating. I wish I should do a poll of Vella writers and find out, you know, it seems to me just off the cuff that it's the younger Vella writers who really crave that reader interaction. I don't know if it's because they have become accustomed to Wattpad or become accustomed to online communities more so than the older writers. I don't know. And I could also be full of caca, and it might not have a damn thing to do with age. It might just be rando all over the place. But
no, the scientist in me is really interested in this too. That's a fun correlation.
It's pretty interesting to think about. I was thinking the other day, what was it, about like music, for instance. What must it have been like for the first people who were able to like listen to a record or a wax cylinder or whatever, because that just seems like straight up black magic, right? There's a sound coming off of something over here. I don't get it. Where's the little band? You know, that kind of thing. But then, of course, for me, I grew up, there were already records and CDs were coming. There were records, there were tapes, and CDs were coming. And I think about that and try to relate that to sort of computers and social media, and you super young people born in it, you're literally saturated in it. So you're looking for that sort of broadband validation that the social media apps and everything are pretty much training you to seek.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. A lot of my earlier writing, like in my teen years, was Harry Potter fan fiction on a Harry Potter message board where you got instant, people commented right there on your stories.
This is so nice. Oh, da, 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 da. It was almost like you were at the Harry Potter school.
I tried, I tried to imagine that. I tried to fully immerse myself in that fantasy.
Well, yeah, that would have been the point, I would think. So anyway, so yeah, it's all good. It's all evolving. We can hope that it goes the directions that we want it to go. I am on the fence about that whole comment thing. I think that what might eventually come to pass is that they will put it on there as a feature and you can turn it on if you want.
That would be helpful. Yeah.
That would be very useful. That would be very cool. And it would just be a matter of a switch. They can do it. Same as they've done with the polling. It can be sitting there and you can dick with it or not. And that would really be like the best of all worlds, because that would be Amazon respecting this broad range of opinion and age and everything else,
Yeah.
So, well, I've got it all figured out now. Time for a cigar. Yes.
No, I like that. I think that's a very creative and respectful solution that ties in everybody.
It'd be great, but I'm sure that if I were sitting in a boardroom and there were a bunch of suits going, yes, that would be wonderful, let's do that, there'd be an IT guy over there looking at me with laser eyeballs that would just actually burn holes through me. Do you know what it would take to do that? No, I don't. Clearly I don't. There you go.
Just click on a button like, nope, no more comments on this post, we're done.
Yeah, actually it would be just a switch. It would just be like, do you want this box to appear or not? And you would just turn it off or on, just a little toggle. And yes, I do actually know about that kind of shit, so I know it wouldn't be hard and it would be the best way to go, and then you'd just have users who were pissed off because they couldn't comment on everything. Then they just go leaving nasty reviews for people who don't have the comments on. Well, you didn't have the comments on, so I couldn't tell you sucked in line, but I'll tell you that you suck right here.
That's true. Kind of like the people who complain about the structure of Vella by leaving bad reviews on one person's Vella, and you're like, really? Why? No.
That stuff is just nuts, really. Yeah, but that's the learning curve for you, man. And but we got to do it. It's a good place for us to be. Good place for us to be as writers, don't you think?
Yeah.
So that is just about the extent of the questions I ask on this. What have you got? Anything to tell us? Have you got another Vella in your head that's trying to come out through your fingers yet?
I do have another one that I'm working out on, but I've kind of briefly mentioned, sprinkled hints about it, but I don't want to say too much about it because it probably won't be able to come out until next year with my writing schedule. But it's about a college student spending some time in an interdimensional coffee shop.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I like it. Interdimensional coffee shop.
I'm excited about that one. I wish I could write it faster, but competing priorities.
That's pretty interesting. Well, we'll certainly be here to watch, I hope, and see what you come up with.
I am excited.
Me too. So my last question is, what would you like to say to folks who are going to click on your link in the video description here and come and read your work for the first time?
The first thing I would like to say is thank you. That's above and beyond. If you hear nothing else, thank you. Because I mentioned a little bit earlier that little shot of endorphins that you get when as a writer when somebody reads your work. It's what we live for. So when I see the little, oh, I have reads today, it's a great shot of endorphins through my brain. I live for that. I love it. So thank you if you do decide to read my work. The other thing I would like to say is tell me, talk to me, tell me what you like about, interact with me about the characters. That's why I want comments on Kindle Bella. Is like I want to know what you think. I tell me who your favorite character is. Tell me when you're shocked about an ending. If I make you make the face, if I make you make the face, tell me about your faces. I want to go find me on social media and interact with me. I think that goes for a lot of authors. Like, don't be scared. They're out there on social media because they want to hear from you. They want to know that you're more than that cute little number ticking up in their reads. Like,
yes,
you're a person.
Well, at least we indie authors are out there.
Yes.
I'm on a mish, man. I want to get Stephen King to come out and write a Vella.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to go to Bangor, Maine and beat on this guy's door and get arrested a couple of times, no doubt. And all I wanted was a serial story out of him.
Stop by Philly on your way up. I'll go with you.
You'll go with me. We'll just we're gonna make it a thing. We'll pick it outside of this house, write a Vella or we'll never leave. Yes, I want a Stephen King Vella, by God. I want to see him write a serial because I think he would be great at it.
Oh yeah.
Of course he'd be great at it. He's Stephen King, but you know what I mean? I think it would be his medium sort of thing. Because he can keep a book going until you want to go and put your head and that book in a wood chipper somewhere, but you keep reading it. That is the magic of Stephen King. All right, you've said your thanks. All right. And it's been a great interview. I'm so happy I just got to know you and that we've had this chance to talk. And I do wish you every success out on Kindle Bella in the future.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
You bet. I have a lot of fun with them, that's for sure. Everybody, this is Az saying bye-bye for Hella Vella and keep reading those Vellas. Well, I forgot I was going to stop the recording.